everyone, this is Rarity's blog, and welcome to my comic book discussion series. Today's discussion is on whether you like collecting single issues of comic books more, or do you like collecting trade paperbacks of comic books. Personally, if this is a quickie response, I prefer trade paperbacks over collecting single issue comics when it comes to collecting issues from comics that evolve in the big story arc, like the Dark Phoenix saga or Days of Future Past, because with trade paperback you could get the entire story all in one volume, instead of having to go to the comic book store every month just to find out what happens in the story. This gets more complicated if the issue's in the middle of a story arc, which is mainly in the Marvel Universe or the DC Universe, and you accidentally missed out on one issue. You can't really understand the story once you miss that one issue. Most of the times, I don't usually go to the comic book store every month to pick up an issue, so I usually just wait it out until the trade paperback comes out, and I would be able to buy the volume with ease depending on what people say about the story arc in that particular comic book, like the X-Men or Batman. Also, with single issue comics, they have ads littered throughout the stories, whether they are ads promoting a TV series or ads promoting an event that is currently happening in the comic universe. Now, I wouldn't mind a few ads here and there if I was reading a single issue that is not involved in any kind of story arc, such as the Looney Tunes and the Disney comics, which are the only comics I collect in single issues because they are barely involved in any large story arc. But if I find ads littered throughout an issue that's in the middle of a story arc, like X-Men comics with the Avengers vs. X-Men event, then it's hard for me to concentrate on the story itself without looking at the ads all the time. I usually think to myself that the pages that have the ads on them could be used to expand the main story a little more, so that way it wouldn't feel like the story is being cut short because of all the ads being used to promote any kind of the media related to the comics. Now, even though I prefer trade paperbacks over single issues when it comes to story arcs, there are some advantages to collecting single issue comics, and that includes being able to know what happens in the story right away and having the opportunity to experience the anticipation of seeing what happens next in the story. It's like whenever I wait for the next book in the Harry Potter series to come out, and I'm thinking about what would happen next in the storyline, the same thing happens when you buy a single issue of a comic book. You get the chance to experience the joys of waiting to see what will happen in the next issue and how things will play out for the characters. And I actually do enjoy waiting for that, depending if the story is any good. Also, with single issues, you could just get into the story very quickly, as one of the problems with trade paperbacks is that you have to wait over a few months and so for the trade paperback to come out once the story arc is over with. And that would take some time. That's why whenever I review comic books, I usually wait until the trade paperbacks come out and then review the story arc as a whole, like I did with my Astonishing X-Men comic reviews, which I have the links to in the description box if you want to check them out. So overall, I usually read trade paperbacks more because I want to catch up on the story arcs of any comics that I read that involves many issues surrounding that story. But I sometimes pick up single issues as long as they are not involved in the large story arc that I would have to pick up so many comic book issues just to keep up with the story. So I can just enjoy reading a comic book once in a while. So what do you like to collect more? Do you like to collect single issues of comics, or do you like to collect trade paperbacks of comics whenever a huge story arc comes by? Feel free to comment on your opinion, and also follow me on Twitter, and my Twitter account is in the description box. And also, feel free to ask me what other questions you want me to answer about comic books in general. This is Ravity's Vlog, and I'll see you later.